This may be the only interchange you ever need. I'm serious about that. This is the Spiral Ring Interchange, designed and patented by Gilead, Meroz and Yaron Toren over a decade ago. This super compact interchange features a 2-level, free-flowing design, so no crossing traffic, no weaving traffic, and no complicated stacking of crossover roads. I'm going to build it today, and the good news is, it's an easy one. You can absolutely build this yourself, and you really only need one mod. When we're done, we'll see how it runs, but we'll also do a little comparison on sizes to see how it stacks up against some of the other interchanges we've covered on the channel. So is this the one interchange to rule them all? Let's find out. I'll state right at the very beginning, you are going to need a mod for this, and you will need Yang Yang's Anarchy mod. It's probably possible to do it without it, but it probably wouldn't look as good, and you'd probably have to make it quite a bit bigger. I am going to use a couple of optional mods a little bit later on. That'll be Better Bulldozer and the Advanced Road Tools. Really, it's just to tidy up some of the ramps and some of the pillars that are going to be created while we're doing this. The diameter of the circle that I've created here is about 400 meters, and you'll notice as I'm just creating a basic overpass here that I'm not really taking any major measurements. I am pretty much just winging it, but what I will be doing is just adding little markers right on the outside, as you can see here down the bottom, and that's going to help us with our ramps a little bit later on the build. The height that I've used for the circle element of it is going to be 10 meters, and that should give us a good bit of clearance to get some of the ramps under, as you'll see a little bit later on. This circular element is going to really switch between sort of 1 lane and 2 lanes at various points throughout the circle. Those points will be dictated by a series of markers that we're going to create. We're going to use the road tool labels, and what we're looking to do is to create these markers about 30 degrees from either side of every highway. Again, if you're a couple of degrees out, if you're making it yourself, don't worry about it too much. If something looks a little bit wonky later on, we can adjust it as well. But shoot for 30 degrees either side, and you should have 8 of these little nubbins that we're going to be working from. So let's get these things quickly in place now. So if you're building along, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Don't worry too much if the gaps are looking a little bit different. Completely normal. Remember, you're not following a set recipe here. Now this bit is important. You'll see that each bridge section that goes over the highway, I'm going to be deleting it, and I'm going to be redrawing it. And I'm going to be redrawing it as a single lane. Now very important, and I'm going to slow this bit right down. You're going to notice that I'm taking the single lane on the inside, right there. We're looking to get the guideline on the outside lane. So we're taking it from the inside, popping it up, 1, 2, 3, and there we go. We're connecting it to the outside. Now it is important that you get it snapped onto the right bit there. If you don't, it's going to mess things up a little bit for you later on when you're kind of connecting the ramps. So take your time on that one. Just make sure you're taking it from the inside and you're connecting it to the outside on the other side of the highway. Now I'm going to do just a little bit of an adjustment on this section down here. It was quite short. I want to have it extended a little bit more so it looks kind of like the other sections in the other quadrants. So I'm just going to draw out a marker. We'll bump it up to a 2 lane, delete that little nubbin, and I think that kind of balances it up a little bit. It does look a little bit more like the other sections. Now in terms of the additional lane configuration, feel free to do whatever you want. However, I'm going to use the markers on the outside of each part of the circle, and I'm just going to bump it up to 5 lanes for now. We will be doing a few adjustments before we're finished as well. So with those extra highway lanes in place, I'm just going to connect the innermost lane to the innermost lane on the right hand side. Now you will see that the lanes do look a little bit messed up, but don't worry about it too much. As I demonstrated there, when you pull out the additional lane on the very outside, it will use the outside lane, just like that. But as you'll see in just a moment, it's not that relevant anyway. So for these turns that are going to be coming off the spiral and onto the highway, I decided that I wanted to have them looking pretty uniform. So I wanted the connecting to each part of the highway roughly the same distance. So all I'm going to do is just pull out the road, take a measure about 130 meters if I remember correctly, and I just put a little marker there. What I then did is just went around the highways, and we're just going to decrease it and make it down to a 4 lane at this point. So we've got full lane maths on the go here. We've got 5 lanes down to 4, down to 3, and vice versa on the other side. And everything should flow quite nicely. Now where we have the tearing here, I'm just going to use the advanced road tools and we'll just tidy that up. Again, it's not necessary for the actual interchange to work. It'll work fine without it, but we'll get it tidied up a little bit. So we've got the inside right turns in place, we've got the outside right turns in place, and now we need to get the inner circle turns. There's a couple of things to look out for here. You can start the curve and connect it either with snapping on or off, but to complete the curve, we definitely want to have all snapping off, and that gives you complete freedom to make the curve any way you want. So let's have a little look how we go about doing this now. And it might be a little bit of trial and error, you might not necessarily get them right first time, but generally speaking, if you use the outside of the spiral curve there, as you've seen, you can normally get a reasonably good result. Again, if you're not happy, just delete, redo, and try and get it as tight to the main circle, the outside circle, as you can. Now, I kept everything the same height, but you might get a good result potentially if you start lowering the height down here as well. And again, if you're looking for a really compact design, you could probably make this even smaller, but to do so, you would definitely need to start bringing these curves down a little bit straight off the bat as soon as you pull them out. To complete these curves and get them under the highway, what we're looking to do here is just to try and make them as uniform as possible. So what I'm going to be doing here is going to be pulling out, straight out, 60 meters, and then I'm going to pull it down into the corner. And then I'm going to pull it out about 75 meters or 78 meters or so. Again, doesn't have to be exact. And you're just going to use your eye and make sure that you're leaving just a little bit of a gap as you bring that down to ground level, because remember, of course, we're going to have to connect it here to the highway beside it. Now, if you have it too close, you're going to have a struggle really just to complete these curves, so do give yourself a little bit of a gap and you should hopefully end up with something like this. Now, a completely optional step in this process is grab and move it and having a little play about with the normal mode and the manipulation mode, and really see if you can try and get these curves looking a little bit smoother in terms of where they join the highway itself. Now, whether or not I'm actually making improvements here or whether I'm making it worse is definitely a matter of interpretation, but I don't think I did too bad a job, and it's looking pretty good now that we've got some traffic running on it as well. Now, one thing that you might think when you're having a look at the design and running itself, these sections here where we essentially have the 2 lanes on the main spiral, you might think that that's a weaving section, but if you look closely at the traffic itself, they are never switching lanes. So I think if this was built in real life, it would obviously make sense to have a medium or a barrier or something there, but as you can see, they're sticking to the lanes. They are literally only using the spiral for their, what would that be, for their left turns, right? And they are not using it to go straight ahead, which is the only 2 options that you have realistically. They can, of course, use it for U-turns, so that's a little bit of an added benefit, I guess, if you need U-turns in your city. So if you do happen to have a situation where perhaps you've maybe got an incomplete interchange a little bit further down the network, then again, it's a good idea to have a U-turn, of course, and it gives traffic an option to get back onto the direction of traffic on the highway that they require. So again, just to make things look a little bit better, I grabbed the road tools again, and I think more often than not, it kind of adds to the effect if we add barriers on these highways as well, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Add them pretty much everywhere where it makes sense, and of course I went and put a key wall on the bridge, so let's get that fixed. There we go. So now that we have all the main elements in place, and by the power of YouTube we can now see what it's like in a city setting, I think we can kind of appreciate just exactly how compact and what a small footprint that actually is. Completely free flowing, of course, no weaving, so it's going to be just as good as some of these bigger ones that we have, but I think it's probably worthwhile to really just kind of get a comparison and see just exactly how much of a space saving it is. This is a turbine interchange. Again, if you haven't seen this before, I've got a tutorial on the channel. The sound quality is terrible on it, so apologies for that if you do decide to go and watch it, but it's a cool interchange and it's certainly worth having a look at. So I've used the Control-C mod and I've saved this one as a prefab, and you can have a really easy comparison here and just see just exactly how much bigger it is compared to the turbine interchange. It's a fraction of the size, and I'm kind of surprised it's as big as a difference as that. And the other one that we've got, and this is the windmill interchange that I made, and this so far for me has been the best compact system interchange that I've come across. It's a really cool design, looks good, doesn't it? And it's super small compared to some of the other options. And again, if we just try and superimpose that over the Spiral Ring Interchange, again, it's just just a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger. So I think we have a winner here in terms of overall size, and I reckon in terms of looking at free-flowing system interchanges that will shift large amounts of traffic without interruption, I think we are going to be hard-pressed to find a better compact option than this one today. In fact, I think probably the only way of improving on it that I can think of is just to use the same design and just try and make it smaller. I think we definitely have scope to try it and make it even smaller, and perhaps that might be a better idea in a more urban setting when we have roads right up to the interchange itself. So maybe something to mess about with later on. Could be a fun little project and see just exactly how small we can go with it. I think this one is definitely worth having in your toolbox. It's well worth learning. It's not that complicated. Once you've done it once, it'll be in your head. You'll know how to do it again, and obviously refer back to the video. But now that we've explored exactly how to make what I think is the new best compact system interchange, how would things turn out if we try and ramp up the difficulty? Check out this playlist where I share how to make some of the more complex modded interchanges in the game.